Ms. Neshvaladov, Ms. Castelluccio, families and friends, colleagues, and of course, the members of the senior class, welcome to the graduation ceremony for Léman Manhattan Preparatory School's class of 2018. It is a pleasure and an honor to welcome you all to this special occasion. Seniors, you look ready for this important day. And you should know, we're all so proud of you. Enjoy this ceremony because it will only happen once for you. It is your graduation from high school, your big day. You might have wondered if it would ever get here, but it did. It's amazing. Everything you've done in your lifetime has led to this moment of accomplishment. So, before you leave us, before you go off to colleges and universities far and wide, enjoy your moment of glory and some well-deserved celebration. We understand how much this means to you, and I hope you know how much it means to us. From where I stand, I see a group of young adults who have worked closely together and who have also grown individually. You've developed and strengthened your own identities as well as your collective identity as the class of 2018. I hope that the memories of your time here together remain strong and vivid, and that opportunities and challenges keep coming your way. I'm confident that you are ready for them, and I hope we will get to see what you continue to become when you come back to visit. As you should know, Léman will always be your home, so please come back soon and often. Okay, next week might be too soon, but any time after that would be fine. Lastly, on a serious note, I would like to wish just two things for you. One, that you will always be good to yourselves and be true to yourselves. Each of you is special in your own way, and don't let anyone tell you different. Naturally, none of us is perfect. None of us is ever truly fully formed, so be open to self-reflection. Be open to change. Be open to hearing what others have to say to you, even if at times you don't want to hear it. In other words, part of being true to yourself is making room for personal change, personal growth, and personal maturation. I hope these are always part of the mix for you. If they are not, I dare say that life might be a bit boring, and no one wants that. My second wish is simple, that you will be good to others. We need that in this world. Continue to develop empathy for others and to serve those in need. If you do, I predict that it will give you much satisfaction in life. So with that, class of 2018, thank you for all you have brought us here. Whether you have been here for a year or two, or like one of you, since second grade, you have made us laugh, you have made us think, you have challenged us. In many ways, you have left your mark and helped to shape our still youthful school. Keep us in your memories, and we'll keep you in ours. And once again, congratulations. It is now my pleasure to introduce our head of school, Ms. Maria Castelluccio.
Good morning. On behalf of the entire Léman community, I join Mr. Spezzano in welcoming families, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, and friends. I welcome our staff and faculty members, and of course, our graduates. I also offer a special welcome to Ms. Caroline Nechvolodov, who is our esteemed speaker. Graduation time in schools is always bittersweet. Although we joyfully come together today to celebrate the accomplishment of all of our seniors here in front of us, the efforts they have put in not only this year, but throughout all of their years of schooling. And we rejoice in their excitement as they receive acceptances to colleges of their choice and make decisions about life after Léman. But we are also saddened to have part of our family leaving our home, to know we will not have regular interaction with you any longer, and no longer be able to provide any guidance. But we also understand that we are sending these graduates off prepared to begin their journey in finding their life purpose. Each of us has a unique purpose to fulfill in this lifetime. And just as you have a unique DNA and a unique fingerprint, we also know that there's no one else on this planet that is here to be who you are and to give what you have to give. No one else. When you honor your unique gifts and talents, give your heart and soul to what's important to you, you will begin to realize your life purpose. And that realization will create a ripple of good that contributes to creating a world of peace and harmony. This graduating class is bright, spirited, and determined. You are confident and you have set lofty goals for yourselves. And I believe it's in these qualities that will allow you to face the challenges and the joys in life ahead with strength and determination. And I expect that you will find your life purpose and contribute greatly to the good of the world. Maya Angelou, author, playwright, director, civil rights activist, died in 2014. But her words live on in so many ways. Before she passed, Maya Angelou was asked what she had learned in her lifetime. And I'd like to share just a portion of her response. She said, "I've learned that no matter what happens, or how bad or how hard it seems today, life does go on and it will be better tomorrow. I've learned that you can tell a lot by a person by the way he or she handles these three things: a rainy day, lost luggage, tangled Christmas lights. I've learned that regardless of your relationship with your parents, you will always miss them when they're no longer in your sight. And I've learned that making a living is not the same thing as making a life. I've learned that life sometimes gives you a second chance, and I learned that you shouldn't go through life with catcher's mitts on both hands because you need to give something back. And I've learned that whenever I decide to do something with an open heart, I usually make the right decision. And I've learned every day that you should reach out and touch someone. People love a warm hug or just a friendly pat in the back. And I've learned that I still have a lot to learn. I've learned that people will forget what you said, what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And in the end, she said, she would like to be remembered as an intelligent woman, a courageous woman, a loving woman, and a woman who teaches by being. And so I use her words to say to you, I wish that each of you are known for your intelligence, for your courage, for the love you share with others, and for what you teach others by just being you. So in closing, I say to you, the graduates, class of 2018, follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors where there may seem to only be walls, and you will find your life purpose. I hope you always carry what you've learned in Léman in your hearts, because we will always carry you in ours. So congratulations, class of 2018. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce the first musical selection performed by Sarah Flores Briñez and Juan Pava Urbina, members of the class of 2018. They will perform Looking for Paradise by Alejandro Sanz.
say, oh, 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 na, 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 oh, 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 na, 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 na. Driving in a fast car, trying to get somewhere. Don't know where we're going, but we've got to get there. A veces me siento perdido, inquieto, solo y confundido. Entonces veo las estrellas y el mundo entero le doy vueltas. I'm singing for somebody like us, someone like me, baby. Yo canto para alguien como tú. Pon la oreja, nena. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. Estoy buscando ese momento, la amistad que cuando llega me llena con su sentimiento vida llena. Driving down the sideway, looking for innocence, trying to find our way, trying to make some sense. Yo canto para alguien como tú, solo como tú, baby. I'm singing for somebody like you. What about you? I'm singing for someone like you. Yo canto para alguien. 'Cause there's something about us here, speaks to my heart, speaks to my soul. I'm singing for someone like you. Yo canto para alguien. Someone like you, someone like me, solo como tú, oh my sister. Todo el mundo va buscando ese lugar, looking for paradise. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. A ese corazón herido, la música le da sentido. Le damos con las dos alas, le damos a sus pies camino. Oh, is anybody out there? Feel like I feel, trying to find a better way so we can heal. I'm singing for somebody like us, someone like me, baby. Yo canto para alguien como tú. What about you? I'm singing for someone like you. Yo canto para alguien. 'Cause there's something about us here, speaks to my heart, speaks to my soul. I'm singing for someone like you. Yo canto para alguien. Someone like me, solo como tú, oh my sister. Todo el mundo va buscando ese lugar, looking for paradise. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. Oh, 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 na, 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 na. Oh, looking for paradise.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Bass. I'm the current outgoing student body president. This year, I have the honor of introducing Miss Caroline Nechveladov as the keynote speaker for this year's graduation ceremony. To give a brief insight into her background, Ms. Nechveladov holds a BA in East Asian Studies from Brown University and an MPP from Harvard University. She's also the proud mother of Henry McCall, who will be walking across the stage with us in this year's Léman Manhattan class of 2018. Ms. Nechveladov is the Vice President of Council on Foreign Relations, and she joined CFR as the Senior Advisor to the President for Strategic Planning. Prior to joining CFR, Ms. Netsch-Volodoff was a senior vice president at the consulting group Robinson Lake Sawyer Miller. It was there she developed research-based strategic communications, crisis management, and marketing advice for multiple multinational corporations. Her capacity as vice president oversees the development of CFR's multimedia learning materials on the fundamental issues of concepts of international relations and U.S. foreign policy. This is the first of CFR's original content designed to build global literacy among high school students, college students, and the curious public. I know we're all anticipating her experience and message regarding the relevancy and significance of global literacy. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Ms. Caroline Netsch-Volodoff to the stage.
Thank you for dealing with that very cumbersome last name. Well done. I'm delighted to be here. What an honor to be invited to speak at my son's graduation. A thrill in more ways than you can imagine. Thank you everyone for this wonderful privilege. First of all, class of 2018, congratulations on your great achievement. I still remember details of my high school graduation 37 years ago. I remember being with my family, my parents, whose tolerance I'd tested mightily through high school, with endless hijinks, like climbing out of my second floor window the night before graduation to cruise around DC all night with my pals. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for putting up with that. And I recall feeling excited and melancholy all at once, ready to fly the coop and have new experiences, but apprehensive and sad about the end of an era. I recall these bittersweet feelings as if they were yesterday, and yet I don't have a clue who the commencement address speaker was, and I definitely don't remember what he or she said. So while I hope my remarks today will be memorable, I can't guarantee it. What I can promise is that I'll be brief, and I'll leave you with a few suggestions for how to approach life beyond Léman. First, a bit about global literacy. The topic I've been invited to speak about this morning, and why I believe it's critically important that you possess it. What does it mean to be globally literate? It doesn't mean you've read every book in the world, nor does it mean that you can order dessert in 15 different languages. In simple terms, globally literate people understand what's going on in the world. They understand global issues, things like climate change, proliferation, terrorism, pandemics, trade, and immigration. They're able to raise the level of conversation and debate about these issues and to collaborate in addressing them. Their perspective is not narrow. It's both broad and it's open. How does one become globally literate? In many cases, including mine, it requires a combination of following one's passion, something you've heard a lot about today, and maintaining a lifelong commitment to learning about the world. It's worth pointing out that I'm still very much on my journey to global literacy. The first stop for me was earning a bachelor's degree in East Asian Studies. I'd like to claim that a deep intellectual curiosity led me to choose my major, but what lured me was an intrigue with kanji, which are the ideographs that form the ancient written language of China and Japan, and also the mystique of the Japanese culture. There was no predictability nor practicality about my choice. Following my passion without overthinking its ultimate value, especially its value in getting any kind of a particular job, was far from on my mind, but it turned out well for me. If you pursue your real interests, you're likely to be more motivated, and you're also likely to add more to your community. But make sure you also gain fundamental knowledge about the world, because you'll need it, no matter what your focus. In the true spirit of better to ask forgiveness than permission, I booked a study abroad program in Japan during my sophomore year of college without first running it by my parents, who I of course expected to foot the bill. I think this probably sounds familiar to some of you. Payback came when I found myself working as a laborer on a rice paddy in remote Hokkaido. where I lived in the tool shed of a farming family on a dirt floor and a straw mat with the wind blowing in all night. I cursed myself to sleep every night, ashamed that I'd ever complained about having to do things like take exams or meet a curfew that I didn't think was fair, or that I wasn't able to have the latest fashion items that I desperately wanted. But I gained more perspective in the span of those 6 rice paddy weeks than I did during my preceding 20 years. I learned how fortunate I was to have access to a great education and to have choices and opportunities. And I learned that an 84-year-old granny with scoliosis could harvest rice at least 3 times as fast as I could. It was truly humiliating. If I hadn't committed to following my passion for Japanese, I doubt that my young adult journey would have unfolded as it did. The lesson here is simple. Just take the first step. Study a new language. Find ways to travel abroad, whether through school or through work. Take classes that will help you better understand the world, and leap at experiences that provide you with greater perspective. Do all of this in a way that takes you out of your comfort zone and builds useful skills and knowledge. Exploring the world beyond my Midwest and East Coast roots was the organizing principle of life during my 20s. After my undergraduate adventures, I got a degree in public policy and went on to try a number of different jobs across the world. Sales in China, boy, that was tough. I was pressed to my maximum. Consulting in Bogota, Colombia. I didn't speak a word of Spanish, but I still had to make do. Political campaigns in Peru and the Philippines, completely in over my head designing the ad campaigns, yet inspired by the candidates to try to contribute. Refugee relief in Asia, such heart-wrenching work. Refugees are the most vulnerable human beings in the world, and no amount of effort ever feels sufficient. So experiences like these have spanned the disastrous to the triumphant for me, but all of them had 2 things in common. They've served up huge doses of humility and self-awareness, and each has contributed meaningfully to my global literacy. Fast forward to today. Much has changed in the world, and the news is far from good. In fact, the world is arguably less stable and in a greater state of disarray than at any time in modern history. The quantity and quality of challenges, uncertainties, and threats is unprecedented. North Korea's nuclear weapons, Russia's interference in democratic elections here and across Europe, massive flows of refugees in numbers not seen since World War II, Iran's destabilizing activities in the Middle East, the unraveling of important parts of the global trading system just this past week. In an era when dishonesty without consequence abounds, and when we see a rise of populist nationalism and anti-establishmentarianism, it's clear that the givens of the post-World War II order no longer hold. Borders that define nation states have been superseded by platforms and networks that connect millions of people in ways that transcend physical boundaries. These are very scary times. Never has there been a greater need to cultivate the qualities of global understanding and informed citizenship. 50 years ago, long before most of the rest of the world woke up to the need for global literacy, the founders of the International Baccalaureate program understood the importance of developing inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people. You, class of 2018, have benefited from this forethought. And you have not just an opportunity, but a duty, really a duty, to shape the future and to help create a world in which you want to live. Whether you're an American or another nationality, a Republican or a Democrat, a vegan or a carnivore, light-skinned or dark, Virgo or Sagittarius, and whether you're here Laurel or Yanni, there are a few ideas worth remembering as you move from the great education and community of Léman to new places and pursuits next year. The first is that no matter what your academic focus in college and your professional aspirations after, whether musician, computer scientist, nurse, lawyer, teacher, architect, no matter where you live, and no matter the specific makeup of your family, be it traditional, 2 moms, 2 dads, single parent, or just plain single, you will need to understand global affairs and how the issues, forces, and actors in the world come together to influence your life. You'll need to meet the crucial civic responsibility of choosing the best leaders, leaders whose decisions and policies may dramatically affect your lives for years to come. And you'll need a clear understanding of how connected the world is so that you can embrace the opportunities and address the complex challenges faced by all of humanity. Again, these challenges, among many others, include creating conditions for lasting peace and security, managing epidemics, improving the living conditions of the poor, and achieving implementable worldwide forms of environmental protection. The great news is that Léman has delivered on its promise to provide you with a solid foundation to meet these needs and so much more. As a mother of 4, and from my perch at the Council on Foreign Relations, I've had a bird's eye view into a wide range of academic programs. You can be sure that our collective return on investment in a Léman education is immeasurable. The benefits will manifest themselves in tangible and intangible ways for the rest of your lives and those of your families. As you begin to build your life on the impressive foundation you've constructed at Léman, I want to leave you with 2 pieces of advice. Number 1, jump at opportunities that will fortify your knowledge and help you understand the world around you. Number 2, embrace transcendent values. And by transcendent values, I mean values that are larger than yourselves and that every culture in human history has identified as essential to accessing true happiness. These values are humility, generosity, hospitality, curiosity, diligence, kindness, and empathy. They are the values I hope my 4 sons will hold onto throughout their lives. Without these values, global literacy falls woefully short. Its power is diminished. It's just as important to continually improve how you show up in the world as it is to cultivate knowledge. So, Léman class of 2018, go into the world, make it better by understanding it and respecting those you encounter along your journey. Reach across divides by listening carefully. Cast informed votes. Continue educating yourselves. Embrace those transcendent values that will lead you and those around you to true happiness. Thank you, everyone, for the privilege of today and for inviting Henry and our family into the Léman community.
Thank you, Ms. Nesfaladov. Now, a musical selection performed by 4 members of the senior class, Sherlyn Lee, Fandi Wan, Shihan Wu, and David Wang. And it will be featuring See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Happy by Pharrell Williams.
It's been a long day without 有的话要对你说，等待再见那一天。对你说声好久不见，好多话要对你说，等待再见那一天，在那一天。Happy, happy, 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 happy. In my secrets, you are embarrassing. Sunshine shines here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that goes fade. We behave like I don't care, babe, by the way. 'Cause I'm happy. I'm lonely if you feel like room without a room. Because I'm happy. I'm alone if you feel like happiness ain't the truth. Because I'm happy. If you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. I'm alone if you feel like that's what you wanna do. That's what you wanna do. So let the light guide your way. Hold every memory as you go. And every road to take will always lead you home. It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. When I see you again.
Thank you. I would now like to introduce Mr. Mark Trebatch, who... He'll introduce himself, I'm sure, but he has taught this group of seniors IB Economics and History for the past 2 years. Mr. Trebatch was chosen by the senior class for this honor. Please welcome him.
Welcome, Ms. Nechvaladov, colleagues, friends, family, and the class of 2018. I'm honored to be here today to speak on behalf of the Léman Manhattan senior class. My name is Mark Trebatch, and I had the privilege of teaching nearly all of these students economics this year or American history last year. Let me start by sharing what Josie told me the other day. She said, "Don't worry, Mr. Trebatch, we don't expect you to do a great job, but we felt like you deserved the honor." I know I'm not being formally graded, but I hope I exceed your expectations. You've all exceeded mine. One of my favorite aspects of the IB program is that the classes are 2 years long. This gives me the opportunity to really get to know my students, but all the harder to say goodbye when it ends. This year's class has a special place in my heart for their willingness to take risks in the classroom and trying to understand the world above everything else. As much as you think I've taught you, I guarantee you've taught me more. As I was reminded yesterday by one of my students, on the first day of class, I wrote a quote on the board: "There are no solutions, only trade-offs." While many students found this to be confusing, eventually they saw it as the invitation to debate that it was. The goal of my class, and hopefully the Léman experience, was not to provide you with answers, but to generate more questions. To have you become comfortable with the fact that the world isn't always black and white, but is often more ambiguous. And while this seemed difficult at first, you rose to the challenge of critical thinking in every class. From IAs to IOCs, art portfolios to paper 1, 2, and 3, you flourished as students who don't just memorize facts, but question how we know those facts. I also personally saw this when students in my class debated the logic of international aid. Almost everyone started the unit thinking that aid was an absolute good, and the only problem was that there wasn't more of it. Students then discovered that if aid isn't careful, it can undermine people's natural incentives to produce for themselves, and that oftentimes outsiders lack the knowledge to know how to help effectively. The goal of aid shouldn't just be to feel good, but to do good. By the end, students had fierce points of view about the efficacy of aid and how it could best be implemented. It was these light bulb moments throughout the year, not necessarily when you learned a new fact, but when you realized an intuition you previously held was incomplete. It was during these moments that I was the most proud of you. It was in moments like those that you were open not just to new facts, but to a new way of looking at the world. And then you took these different worldviews and debated each other, often with more respect and civility than we currently see in the adult world, and saw that there are often multiple right answers. This is why I love teaching this class. They are mature, articulate, and hungry to learn, while realizing that they don't know everything. This mix of intelligence and humility has served them well and will continue to in the future. A fascinating leader of the 20th century, Deng Xiaoping, had to deal with these issues when he took control of China in 1982. As most of you know, China faced significant economic challenges at that time, as it had closed itself off from the outside world. Knowing that he needed foreign equipment and expertise, Deng leaned in the direction of opening up to foreign investment, when one of his advisors warned him that it would lead to a general loss of control. His response was, if you open the window for fresh air, you have to expect some flies to blow in. The answer isn't to keep the window closed, sticking to what is safe, but to embrace change, knowing that change will bring its own challenges. Some of you have been with us for years, and others have recently joined Léman. Together, we have built Léman into what it is today. I've thought a lot about what it must be like to grow up today. Should you push yourself academically or explore different social groups? Spend your time on a sports team or exploring the city? At its best, Léman is a place for each of you to grow and decide who you want it to be. Those students who went the academic route ended up at some of the most prestigious universities in the country. Others made Léman proud through our basketball and volleyball records. Or, like Mr. Pava, choosing the solitude of a Brooklyn coffee shop and a book. I don't believe there is an objectively correct way to spend your youth, and at Léman, everyone has a place. I hope that you appreciate that not every school is like that. In 2011, when I finished my master's in education, the job market in New York was terrible. I knew I wanted to teach, but that wasn't going to happen here. Instead of sulking or giving up, I packed my things and moved to China. I couldn't speak the language and was a complete cultural outsider, but it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I was completely lost and literally illiterate, but I learned how to adapt. This experience has made me extremely sympathetic to what many of our English language learners had to go through. Often these students have to work twice as hard as native speakers to receive the same grades, but I never heard them complain. Instead, they recognize that the path to your dreams is paved with hard work, sacrifice, and risk-taking. As you go off to college and think about what you want to major in and do for a living, remember one of my favorite quotes. Find a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. That is why I devoted myself to teaching. Now I go into work every day with a smile on my face, Lucky to spend my days doing something I love with great people. To love what you do is a huge step towards living a happy life. Congratulations, class of 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Treebatch. And now I would like to introduce Ms. Esme Eng, a member of the class of 2018. It is important to note that Esme was chosen by the upper school faculty to make the student address. Please welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank National Honor Society member Rafilwe Kakana for bringing my footstool. And I would also like to thank the faculty of Léman Manhattan for selecting me for such an honor. And I think that the rest of my class can agree with me that it is so heartwarming to see that even in the midst of IB exams and college decisions, our teachers can still find a way to give at least one of us more homework. In all seriousness, at my time at Léman, I've served a variety of amazing positions. I'm currently the outgoing Co-Secretary General of the Model United Nations Club, President of the National Honor Society, and a founding executive member of the Gender and Sexuality Alliance. And none of this would have been possible if I hadn't come to this school. I remember when I first came to Léman, and alumni Samantha Schulman showed me around the first time. And I kept being met with this phrase that all of the teachers and the administration were telling me, worldviews from every classroom. And in keeping with that theme, I've decided that today I would talk about Google Earth. Google Earth is a computer program that lets its users look around the globe without looking up from their screens. My relationship with this program began when I was about 6 years old and has continued up until recently, when I was trying to think of the perfect way to say farewell and congratulations to my classmates. My sister Alma, who was 12 at the time, had found a way to download Google Earth onto our mother's large, bulky Dell desktop, and she took me onto her lap and spun the pixel-made globe around and asked me, "Where do you want to go?" And there I sat, a 6-year-old girl with the entire globe literally at her fingertips, able to see any building I would want with a tap of a few keys. And after thinking where in this virtual world I would want to go, and upon realizing that Narnia was not yet an option, I asked if we could see our home. And lo and behold, I could see a satellite image of the rooftop and the big green trees which covered the aerial view of our backyard, and I had never been more astounded from a feat of technology. I then asked if I could see my school, and much like my house, I could see the tops of buildings, and I could see the playground on Ocean Terrace, where I spent most of my childhood. And after seeing these two locations via amazingly pixelated satellite imagery, I came to realize that there was nowhere else in the world I wanted to go. I had seen my home, and I had seen my school, and at the time I knew of nothing else that would be worth seeing on my mother's computer screen. And I think after that, I left to watch Nickelodeon or something. And the reason I'm retelling this pretty uneventful story today is because when I look back on that time, I realized exactly how small and unvaried my world was before I met the graduates here today. If I were to draw a circle on a map of New York City with the radius of 15 miles and my home at the center, I would be able to encapsulate everything I knew up until about the 8th grade. My entire life, my school, my friends, my family, my community were all within that radius. And I never ever had to leave. In many ways, I was quite isolated, but I was even more isolated for 2 reasons. One, my life still does, and especially back then, consisted of home and school, and very little else. And 2, because at the time, I was carrying a very big secret that no one else except myself knew about, and that no one could know about. And it wasn't until a few years ago when I came to Léman that I felt I was finally able to tell people that secret, that I am a bisexual woman, and I am attracted to both men and women. That last year I was attending my school in Staten Island was one of the scariest of my life. For amongst the chaos of leaving the school where I had been my entire insentient life, I sat upon a great secret, was already being harassed for my race and stature, and I watched my classmates become more and more vocal about their disgust for people like me. But of course, that was years ago. In 2015, I had finally stopped being afraid, and I told my friends and family the secret I was hiding for almost 4 years. I felt that my waiting had finally allowed for the world to evolve enough that I could be myself without the danger of non-acceptance, bigotry, or rejection. I could live happily with my friends without this massive weight upon my skinny but sturdy shoulders. But unfortunately, I would learn that would not be the case. For about a year later, 50 people were killed at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida. And for a moment, it was the largest mass shooting in the United States. Majority of those who killed were queer and genderqueer people of color, a lot of people like me. And like me, they thought that they were finally free and safe to express themselves and describe to the world who they were and who they loved. However, unlike me, those 50 people did not get to see that hope to fruition. And this was the first time I ever witnessed true hate. And I'm not referring to the actual act itself, because I was not there to actually experience that. But in the aftermath of the shooting, when scrolling through my social media explore pages, I discovered the insurmountable groups of people that applauded the fact that 50 people were dead because at least some of them were queer like I am. The message of these people were clear. If I were to disappear at any moment, there would be one less physical infringement on their way of life on this planet, and what they considered to be the way of things would remain intact. The world would not fall into chaos, they would not be threatened, and they would be safe. I fell into a rabbit hole of hate of some kind after the Pulse shooting, each click bringing me further and further into the not-so-underground world of hate against gay and trans people. And I began to think about my decision to come out. Perhaps the world wasn't ready, and I had somehow put myself in danger by telling people who I was. And I felt my Google Earth radius of existence began to shrink. Even though I know I can physically exist anywhere at any time, I felt that maybe I shouldn't, because it wouldn't be proper and it wouldn't be safe. In an attempt to remove myself from this way of thinking, I moved myself from my bedroom to my kitchen, and there on the kitchen table was the New Yorker from that week. And this week's focus was the Pulse shooting. I skimmed the pages and eventually found an article speaking about one of the vigils that was held here in New York City after the shooting. And the last line of that article is something I have not forgotten till this day. An interviewee named Eric Gordon said, there was this idea of a third place. You have work, you have home, and then there's a third place. And I immediately understood what he was saying. A place outside of work and home that can give you some sense of unthreatened existence. A place where you could be without danger. It was actually Ray Oldenburg, an urban sociologist, who coined the phrase third place, explaining that in order for a democracy to work, there has to be a public, neutral place outside of the home and work to provide a place for grassroots politics, create habits of public association, and offer psychological support to individuals and communities. And that was truly why the shooting was such a devastation. It was a place that the LGBTQ community felt was their own, a place where they felt like they could freely exist without all the disarray and bedlam of the real world. And I began worrying about my dedication to school and how that may have not offered me the ability to find my third place. And perhaps this would mean that at some point the stresses of home and school and existing as the person I am would eventually culminate in some sort of great reckoning of my mental health. I would realize I had made no memories and never actually found my people. And I would somehow forever be in the same place I was when I let people assume that I was only white and that I liked boys. It's a terrifying thought to think that you have wasted your youth not finding where you're supposed to be. And I've thought about that a lot, but even more so now that it's dawned on me that when I walk out of this room, I'll refer to my time at Léman in the past tense, and my time here will become a memory. I've come to realize my third place isn't actually a location, but rather it's company. During the most tumultuous times of my life, I have found the comfort and community of a third place in the company and conversation of members of the Léman community. At the times I began to doubt myself the most, whether you all knew it or not, many of you here today assisted me in getting past it. And some of you taught me that self-love is the key to happiness. I have found sanctity, allyship, and love from not only my classmates, but the teachers and faculty too. For the record, I totally just lost a bet. I said I wasn't gonna cry. And I'm so grateful for you all. And of course, when we leave this room as graduates, and inevitably go on with our lives in different corners of the world, there is a chance I will never see you again. Oh. Other people are crying too, it's not just me. I have no idea what will happen to any of us, myself included. But I do hope that those of you who need it find your third place. Whether you refer to them as your safe spaces, your clubs, your favorite bars and restaurants, or next to your favorite person, I hope that you get them. I truly have gained a worldview from my time here. Even though our lives all crossed for a relatively short period of time, it was in that short time that you gave me a third place and have helped me expand my radius of the world tenfold. I hope you all have the chance to meet some wonderful people, as I have here. Thank you. Also, it's Pride Month! Have fun!
I always look for an occasion to use one of my favorite expressions. Esme, you knocked it out of the park. Thank you. And now, seniors, the moment we have all been waiting for. We will present you with your diplomas.
Good morning. Elizabeth Arfouche. Taya Yolana Bailey. Kate Eliza Baxter. Dimitro Beshpali. Wenyan Eureka Tsai. Lucy Royalmans Carson. Jaja Chen. David Chow. Dela Ariel Durantis. Keith Kassim Elam. Sarah M. Fayed. John Fecunda. Maximus Ferraroni. Sarah Flores Brunez. Estella Francombe McCabe. Ruth Gershberg Schupak. Ralph Jacob Godfrey. Dwayne Harris. Victor Hartman. Edison Xiao Xin Hong. Lei Huang. Leilani Iritzari. Denis Sergei Izatov. Sebastian Jaramillo Lopez. Zewan Kong. Nicholas Capon. Bradley Allen Kaufman. Stella Costa. Joyce Ange Nyanja Kwasi. Lorenzo Labelle. Celine Nadia Legendre. Linding Lee. Shinyi Lee. Stephanie Yueming Lee. Asher Tianchi Liu. Coco Ma. Maximiliano Magana Pineda. Simone Soren Malakar. Greta Maria Mickey. Henry David Bruce McCall. Francesca Mejia. Natasha Tiana Mihawk. Thomas Moser. Esme Maria Eng. Salome Estelita Claire Go. Bing Wien Jones. Phuc Hong Wien. Kim Quinn Wien. Min Nikki Nee. Juan Nicholas Pava Urbina. Brooke Laura Perry. Max Miao Chien. Maria Dolores Rivadeneira. Denivi Michaela Rose. Paulina Rosman. Yoshi Yun Sabayo. Joost Ja Schuttenbelt. Sava Sekulic. Angelica Marita Saracini. Miron Sergeyev. Pa-Ki Shen. Melanie Marie Shepard. Vladislav Shkarenko. Shayla Sigal Shmuel. Zende Sinclair. Hayun Son. Kevin Alexander Tamarima Salinas. Juan Hong Tong Belinda. Edward Philippe Thorman. Alec S. Timmer. Sean Vaz. Jessica Pamela Velasaka. James Hui Za Vuong. David Jeng Wong. Chi Chen Wei. Michaela Williams. Shihan Wu. Catherine Lee Shui. Zamin Yan. Zechen Ya. Fandi Uan. Taylor Fanny Jung. Shui Zhang. Yulong Zhang. Zehao Jia. Nicholas Zurcher Long. Congratulations.
I would now like to welcome members of the high school chorus and Léman's women's choir to the stage to lead us in singing the Léman Alma Mater. Thank you. Before I present to you the class, two brief requests. In just a few moments, these graduates will exit. So as they recess, I would like to ask that you allow them to exit the ballroom all the way out to the sidewalk, where you will be able to greet and congratulate them. And second, please do join us at 1 Morris Street for a reception on the 22nd floor immediately following the ceremony. Don't miss the senior slideshow and the traditional cutting of the cake. I would now like to invite the class of 2018 to stand and face the audience. You now have your diplomas in hand, but according to tradition, the moment you move that tassel on your cap from left to right, you move from being a student to being an alumnus or an alumna of Léman Manhattan, and that is a distinction of a lifetime. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride that I present to you the Léman Manhattan Preparatory School Class of 2018. Congratulations.